The wealth code, 7 remote jobs. Nobody talks about. There's a peculiar paradox in how we chase money online. We're obsessed with the flashy, the viral, the 6-figure launches and overnight success stories that flood our feeds every single day. Yet, if you actually study people who've built real sustainable wealth, the kind that compounds over years, not months, you'll discover something striking. They're not doing what everyone else is doing. They're not chasing the trending hustle. They're not competing in spaces where thousands are fighting for scraps. Instead, they've found something far more valuable: opportunity in obscurity. Welcome back to Intel X, where we decode the systems that build real wealth. If this is your first time here, subscribe now, because what you're about to discover could reshape how you think about remote income entirely. Today, we're exploring 7 positions that most people overlook, 7 income streams that are desperately hiring right now, 7 paths that could generate anywhere from $40,000 to over $100,000 annually, all from your laptop anywhere on Earth. But here's what makes this different. These aren't sexy jobs. They won't make you look cool at dinner parties. They won't trend on social media. And that's precisely why they're worth your attention. Position 1, the algorithm architect, understanding what makes content viral. Our first opportunity exists in a space you've probably spent hours in without realizing its economic value. It lives in the space between creation and consumption, where raw footage transforms into viral moments. Content strategists, or what we might call algorithm architects, are essentially translators. They speak both the language of creators and the language of platforms. Their role? To identify which moments within lengthy content possess genuine viral potential, then guide editors on exactly what to preserve and what to discard. Think about the last time you fell into a TikTok rabbit hole. Those videos didn't become magnetic by accident. Someone analyzed pacing, someone understood hook theory, someone recognized the precise moment a viewer would either stop scrolling or lean in closer. That someone could be you. The economics. The earning spectrum here is genuinely broad. Entry-level positions begin around $48,000 annually, though the ceiling stretches to $172,000 depending on your scope and client portfolio. Most strategists find themselves earning between $65,000 and $95,000 as they develop experience and reputation. Why beginners thrive here? This position doesn't require you to be a filmmaker or editor. You don't need camera skills or production experience. What you need is pattern recognition. You need the ability to study what captures human attention and predict what will resonate. Honestly, if you've spent meaningful time on social platforms, you've already begun developing this skill subconsciously. The learning curve is remarkably gentle, approximately 9 out of 10 for accessibility. The growth trajectory. As you prove your strategic instincts, several income expansion avenues open. You might transition into planning videos from inception rather than just analyzing existing content. You could negotiate performance bonuses tied directly to view counts and engagement metrics. Some strategists establish retainer relationships where they manage entire content calendars for multiple clients simultaneously. The growth potential here scores an 8 out of 10. The AI question. Here's where this role becomes genuinely secure. Artificial intelligence struggles profoundly with creative strategy. It can identify patterns, yes, it can process data, absolutely, but it cannot understand the nuanced, often irrational factors that make content compelling to human beings. It lacks intuition about culture, timing, and the ineffable quality that separates something that goes viral from something that merely exists. Survivability, 8.5 out of 10. The freedom factor. Your clients care about one thing exclusively: results. They don't care if you're working from a Balinese beach hut or a small-town coffee shop. They care that your insights transform their content's performance. This flexibility is extraordinary. Clients need strategic brilliance, not your physical presence. Freedom rating, 9.5 out of 10. Position 2, the human bridge, customer service coordination in the AI age. We've all experienced it, that moment of frustration when an automated system doesn't understand your problem. You're frantically typing "human" into a chatbot's interface, desperately hoping to connect with an actual person who comprehends context, nuance, and your specific situation. That human you're seeking could be a customer service coordinator operating from anywhere in the world. But this isn't traditional customer support. This is something more strategic, more intelligent. Customer service coordinators are essentially quality control managers. They're the decision makers who determine when an artificial system has reached its limitations and human intervention becomes necessary. They're the bridge between technological efficiency and human empathy, the exact place where automation breaks down and actual understanding becomes valuable. The economics. These positions typically range from $52,000 to $120,000 annually, with most experienced coordinators settling around $65,000 to $85,000 as they establish themselves. Compensation often correlates directly with the complexity of products being supported and the geographic location of employing companies. Beginner accessibility. The barriers to entry are remarkably low. You need strong communication abilities. You need problem-solving instincts. You need patience and the capacity to learn industry-specific knowledge quickly. But you don't need credentials, certifications, or previous experience. Accessibility score, 8 out of 10. The growth opportunity. Here's where this role becomes genuinely attractive. Every business, from Fortune 500 corporations to scrappy startups, requires customer support. Yet most lack the budget to maintain large teams. One strategically positioned coordinator can manage an entire bot ecosystem, intervening only when problems escalate beyond automation's capabilities. This efficiency appeals to businesses desperate to reduce operational costs without sacrificing customer satisfaction. The demand isn't cyclical or trendy, it's fundamental to commerce itself. Growth potential, 10 out of 10. The survivability question. Chatbots excel at predictable scenarios, password resets, order tracking, FAQ resolution, but they catastrophically fail when emotional intelligence becomes necessary. Research consistently shows that approximately 69% of UK consumers report that chatbots completely misread tone, frustration, and context. When customers are angry, confused, or emotionally invested in their problem, they need human recognition and validation. This human element isn't something technology has solved or appears positioned to solve in the near term. Survivability, 7.5 out of 10. The freedom dimension. Once systems are properly configured and optimized, your hands-on requirements diminish significantly. You transition into a monitoring role, intervening only during escalations. This permits genuine flexibility. You can maintain your responsibilities from countless locations provided you're available when genuine issues arise. Freedom score, 9 out of 10. Position 3, the Modernization Specialist. Bringing small businesses into the digital present. Walk into a typical small business today. You'll encounter a paradox. The owner understands intellectually that technology should transform their operations. They recognize that competitors are moving faster, automating more, reaching farther, yet they feel genuinely lost navigating this transformation. That hesitation creates an enormous opportunity. Remote technology specialists serve as guides through this transition. They enter businesses and identify which outdated systems are creating bottlenecks. Then they implement modern solutions, not to feel trendy, but to create measurable efficiency gains. This might mean establishing project dashboards so teams can track deliverables in real time. It might mean centralizing scattered documents into organized digital systems. It might mean integrating payment processing with accounting software so financial data flows automatically rather than requiring manual entry. The work is unglamorous, but it's desperately needed. The economics. This role typically generates around $60,000 annually. Those specialists with established client bases and proven implementation records often push toward $80,000 to $100,000 as referral networks grow. Entry requirements. You genuinely don't need formal qualifications. You need confidence navigating software interfaces. You need the ability to explain technical concepts in language non-technical people understand. You need patience, genuine patience, when teaching people to use systems that feel foreign to them. Beginners can establish themselves reasonably quickly. Accessibility, 7 out of 10. Growth potential. Here's the compelling reality. Small business modernization isn't optional anymore. It's increasingly mandatory. Regulations in various regions now require digital invoicing. Customer expectations demand online ordering and digital communication. Competitors who've already modernized are outpacing those who haven't. Business owners aren't asking if they should update their systems. They're asking when and how quickly they can do it. This shifts the dynamic from selling a service to meeting an urgent need. Additionally, as you build reputation and portfolio, you can expand from individual implementations into comprehensive system overhauls, commanding premium rates. Growth potential, 9.5 out of 10. The automation concern. Yes, artificial intelligence is advancing rapidly, but implementation requires human expertise. Systems must be configured for specific business contexts. They must be tailored to existing workflows. Integration requires problem-solving and customization. AI becomes a tool in your toolkit that makes your work more efficient, not a replacement for your judgment. Survivability, 9 out of 10. The freedom advantage. Once systems are installed and operational, maintenance becomes remarkably light. Periodic check-ins ensure everything runs smoothly. Most of your work becomes asynchronous or scheduled. This creates substantial location independence. Freedom rating, 9 out of 10. Position 4, the Legacy Architect End-of-Life Planning Sales. This position won't be comfortable to discuss. It exists in territory where most people feel squeamish. Yet the discomfort surrounding this role is precisely why it's so valuable. Funeral sales specialists help families navigate end-of-life planning. They're not being morbid, they're being merciful. They're allowing people to make thoughtful decisions about their final arrangements while they're in a clear, rational mindset, rather than forcing grieving families to make rushed, expensive decisions under emotional duress. This is profound work. It requires deep empathy, genuine confidence, and the ability to hold space in deeply emotional conversations. The economics. This role pays exceptionally well. Entry-level positions begin around $75,000 annually. Performers who consistently meet targets regularly exceed $90,000, with top earners breaking $106,000 and beyond. The compensation reflects both the emotional difficulty and the value these specialists provide to families. This is among the highest-paying positions we're examining today. Beginner accessibility. Traditional qualifications don't matter here. Sales experience helps but isn't essential. What matters is genuine empathy, the ability to navigate conversations with sensitivity, the capacity to listen more than you pitch. You're not selling, you're solving. Accessibility, 7 out of 10. The growth reality. This market won't shrink. Demographic trends show more deaths than births across most U.S. counties. Aging populations mean consistent, growing demand. Average funeral arrangements cost $8,300 with comprehensive packages reaching nearly $10,000. The arithmetic is straightforward. Increasing volume of deaths plus substantial per-transaction value equals significant market opportunity. Growth potential, 9.5 out of 10. The automation reality. Can artificial intelligence comfort a grieving family? Can a chatbot provide the human recognition that someone's loss matters? Can technology replace the presence of someone who understands death because they've genuinely contemplated it? No. This role requires authentic human connection. It requires presence. It requires someone willing to sit with uncomfortable emotions. This is irreplaceable. Survivability, 10 out of 10. The freedom consideration. This is where we must be honest. While the work is remote, it carries restrictions the other positions don't. You can't operate on a purely flexible schedule. Grieving families need responsiveness. There's also a psychological weight worth acknowledging. You're regularly entering spaces where people are processing loss. This emotional labor is real and it affects your well-being. This role demands genuine commitment beyond simply logging hours. Freedom rating, 6 out of 10. Position 5. The Truth Keeper, Statistical Validation and Marketing Claim Verification. Have you ever seen an advertisement claiming 9 out of 10 dentists recommend this toothbrush? Have you wondered who actually verifies these claims? Statistics validators do exactly that. Companies invest millions in advertising campaigns. A single false claim, one unsupported statistic, could result in lawsuits costing far more than the advertising budget itself. Regulatory bodies are increasingly strict about marketing claims. The liability is genuine and significant. Statistics validators are essentially the quality control department for marketing claims. They examine the data behind assertions. They verify that statistical claims are honestly presented. They ensure companies aren't vulnerable to legal actions stemming from misleading marketing. The economics entry-level positions begin around $40,000 annually, with experienced validators reaching $64,000 plus performance bonuses tied to completed audits. Compensation reflects the responsibility. Mistakes here have real financial consequences. Skill requirements. This position requires more specialized knowledge than some other options. You need analytical thinking. You need statistical literacy. You need obsessive attention to detail. However, you don't need formal credentials. These skills are learnable through online resources, free educational platforms, and dedicated study. Accessibility, 6 out of 10. Growth trajectory. Companies are increasingly desperate for these roles. Regulatory pressure is intensifying. As advertising becomes more data-driven and claims more sophisticated, the need for skilled validators only increases. One errant statistic that slips through can cost companies millions, making this role increasingly valuable. Additionally, as you build expertise, you can command premium rates and choose clients strategically. Growth potential, 10 out of 10. The AI factor. Artificial intelligence can process data at scale. It can identify numerical anomalies, but it struggles profoundly with nuance, context, and legal risk interpretation. A statistic might be technically accurate yet misleading in presentation. AI lacks the judgment to understand these distinctions. Additionally, companies are hesitant to risk regulatory consequences by relying solely on algorithmic validation. Survivability, 8.5 out of 10. The freedom element. This work is entirely remote, standard hours, no surprise. Office visits, no commutes. However, there is psychological pressure. Mistakes have real consequences. You're carrying responsibility for financial outcomes that extend beyond yourself. Freedom rating, 8 out of 10. Position 6, the opportunity qualifier. Remote sales setters and calendar management. Watch any influencer, coach, or online entrepreneur operating at scale. Behind every successful launch, every packed workshop, every sold-out coaching cohort, there's a system, and at the center of that system is someone quietly filling calendars. Remote setters are these invisible architects of opportunity. They identify potential clients. They understand who represents genuine fit versus time wasters. They conduct preliminary conversations that qualify prospects before they ever speak with the actual decision maker or closer. They're not selling anything themselves, they're sorting and qualifying. It's fundamentally about conversation skills and filtering. The economics. Compensation structures here are typically commission-based, offering flexibility and substantial upside. Monthly earnings range from $3,000 to $7,000, with consistent performers scaling to $84,000 annually. Your income directly correlates with your performance, which appeals to entrepreneurial mindsets. Beginner-friendly entry. This role welcomes people without extensive experience. Many companies actively train new setters. If you can communicate clearly, ask intelligent questions, and genuinely listen to responses, you can begin immediately. Accessibility, 9 out of 10. The income scaling. Since compensation is commission-based, your ceiling rises directly with the business's growth. A successful business expanding aggressively means more leads to qualify, more calendars to fill, more commissions to earn. Your income scales alongside company success. Genuine alignment of interests. Growth potential, 9 out of 10. The automation question. Setters depend on connection, trust building, and timing intuition. They need to sense when a prospect is genuinely interested versus merely curious. They need to read conversational cues and adjust approach accordingly. Current AI lacks this sophistication. Future AI might evolve toward it, but we're not there yet. Survivability, 8.5 out of 10. The freedom. Reality. Here's the catch worth acknowledging. While the work is remote, it's not passive. You're tethered to your communications channels throughout business hours. You're monitoring messages during campaigns and product launches. You're responsive rather than autonomous. You've escaped the office commute, but you haven't achieved complete schedule independence. Freedom rating, 7 out of 10. Position 7, the content guardian. Risk assessment and content moderation. Listen carefully because this final position requires genuine consideration. It's not for everyone, and we need to be honest about why. Content risk reviewers work for platforms like YouTube, examining flagged content to determine whether it violates platform guidelines. They assess whether videos should be allowed, whether advertising should be permitted, or whether content requires removal. The compensation is meaningful, approximately $80,000 annually, depending on platform and client portfolio. But the work carries weight most of the other positions don't. The accessibility factor. If you regularly consume content and have developed intuition about what feels appropriate versus problematic, you're already halfway competent for this role. You need the ability to recognize tonal shifts, cultural context, and potential issues that might offend advertisers or violate guidelines. Accessibility, 9 out of 10, the growth narrative. The scale of content is almost incomprehensible. Over 500 hours of video upload to YouTube every single minute. That calculates to roughly 720,000 hours of new content daily. This volume only increases. More content demands more reviewers. The supply-demand dynamic is straightforward. Growth potential, 9 out of 10, the automation reality. Platforms have attempted to rely entirely on algorithmic moderation. It hasn't worked. YouTube recognized this failure and reverted to human moderation because artificial systems miss crucial context. They flag false positives and miss genuine violations. The complexity of content judgment still requires human decision-making. Survivability, 10 out of 10, the freedom constraint. Here's the honest limitation. Some flagged content is deeply disturbing. You might encounter imagery or scenarios that linger. You're absorbing problematic content so platforms don't have to distribute it broadly. This psychological weight is real and shouldn't be minimized. The work is remote, but it carries emotional cost. Freedom rating, 8.5 out of 10. The synthesis. Which opportunity aligns with your values? We've examined 7 positions. Each offers genuine earning potential. Each provides location independence. Each has different trade-offs regarding growth, sustainability, and freedom. But here's what matters most. There's no universal best choice. The algorithm architect prioritizes creative problem-solving and flexibility. The customer service coordinator values human connection and steady growth. The modernization specialist enjoys practical impact and technical work. The legacy architect serves a profound purpose, though with emotional investment. The truth keeper operates with intellectual rigor and detail focus. The remote setter builds in dynamic, commission-based environments. The content guardian protects community standards, though with psychological considerations. Which aligns with your strengths? Which inspires you despite the less glamorous aspects? Which problem do you actually want to solve? That alignment matters more than raw income potential. Most people chase the obvious paths. They compete in crowded spaces where thousands fight for the same opportunities. But the wealthiest, most stable income earners operate differently. They find undervalued positions. They develop expertise in overlooked spaces. They build lives around opportunities nobody else was willing to take seriously. If this perspective resonates with you, if you're genuinely interested in building real wealth rather than chasing viral success, subscribe to this channel. We consistently decode systems, opportunities, and strategies that mainstream creators ignore. Comment below and let us know. Which of these 7 positions intrigues you most? What aspect of remote work matters most to your decision-making? We'll see you in the next one.